Oh, I love it.
It's like, I've been waiting for that.
I've been waiting.
So long. I love it.
I have my crystals with me. I have my essential oil, my water. I'm so excited.
I was watching for anyone. We will get into the episode in 1 second, but someone posted earlier on Instagram where it was to all my non-witchy friends when I talk about like essential oils and like tarot cards and shadow work. And it's like this one guy in the corner going, what the fuck are you talking about?
I love
one in my life.
I'm like, I don't really have those people anymore because like slowly they've all come in. It's like it's just so fun because it's like even my friends who aren't like super into the spiritual stuff, they see me pulling cards like just for fun and like when I do my channeling meditations. And so when I go back home, they're like, okay, did you bring the deck? Like, let me see this deck. Like, tell me a little bit more about my future. Not really my future, but just like the energies and just having fun with it. I think that's like the main point is all this woo-woo, all this spiritual stuff. It's like, it's such a beautiful world to open yourself up to because to me, it just symbolizes play and curiosity and exploration.
Honestly, yes. And it really, it's kind of like when you're a kid and you have a fucking imaginary friend. Like,
yeah.
And you're like, it's the innocence of it. I love it so much. My friends are the same way, except for the times that I forget to take out my yoni egg. And I'm like, this is fall out in the middle of the restaurant, guys.
Oh, okay. I still haven't done that. I'm dying to do it.
I'm like, we were going on a walk the other day and I forgot it was in, and I went to pee just beforehand and it fell in the toilet. And they're like,
That's
oh my God,
so funny.
an accidental poop. I was like, no, my yoni egg fell in the toilet. Sorry, guys.
They're like, that was the loudest bathroom experience. You're like, yes. There was something extra in there.
Oh my God. Okay. So everyone knows that listens to this podcast, or if anyone's tuning in from our audience, the first question I always ask my guests, because the whole aspect here in Healing to Happy is, yes, we talk about trauma. Yes, we talk about self-development and relationships and all the stuff that some people don't like to talk about. But oftentimes when I have experts, and I felt this way too, we pedestal these people, and we often sit there and they're like, they must have their shit figured out. They must be doing it this way. And I hear them talk about this way and they never fuck things up and they don't look at how perfect they are and all this kind of stuff. And I don't like it. So the question I always like to ask before we jump into the things and we do get into your authority and all that kind of stuff is, it's called Healing to Happy. What are you currently healing your way to happy on?
Oh my gosh. Ooh, okay. So I think for me, I definitely have, I can struggle a little bit with like keeping up the momentum. And so I just had launched a program experience back in April. And that was like a 7-week beautiful journey. And then for the last 5-6 weeks, I pretty much took a huge break because I was like, oh, I wrapped that up. Like that was such a beautiful like output into the world. And now for me, it's like, oh God, here we go again. Like I got to get back on. And and this is something that I want to talk to you later on about masculine and feminine energy, where I feel like I almost have to like force myself to get back into it. And it drives me crazy because I'm always thinking, and this is, I always see, I'm the same way. I look at people who are doing something super successful and I pedestal them and I'm like, oh, they probably don't have this issue at all. They can just dive right back in. They don't have to like go through this quicksand to get their way there. But I do. And I'm always like, is there gonna be one day where it just clicks? So that's currently what I'm going through right now because I'm building something new out. And here I am again at this like coming out of the quicksand. My cycle is actually about to start in a few days. So that feels like even more quicksand. But it's like, when is it going to happen where it just clicks? And I feel like I come up to battle with that quite often. It's like, when is it just going to click? And I feel like, guess what? A lot of times these things in your life you don't close your eyes, you wake up and they click. It's like this slow compound effect of like, just do a little bit. And I know it's so cliche to say you just got to do a little bit, but I mean, it's there for a reason. It holds true pretty much, and it goes beyond anything in life. It's like from relationships to career to self-love. It's like you just add a little bit more to it each day and it gets easier and easier. And then you're finally there. So you're not like down in the quicksand. How the hell am I going to get out of it again? So that's currently what I'm going through, is pulling myself out, like resourcing that motivation and not being tough and mean to myself through it.
Not letting those little gremlins come in and
Yeah.
overpower you, push through and get hyper masculine and all that kind of. Are you a generator?
I'm an MG baby.
Oh, love it.
So I
That's a
got that.
great
I
thing.
have that generator. Yeah.
The generator, it is the all in, and then they need the rest, and the all in and the all in the rest. And it
Oh
is that.
yeah. And I love projects, but there it is again. It's like, okay, the project's wrapped up and my mind's like, but what about the next? We got to get right into the next. And so I have a hard time just like being in that rest state. And this is something that I realized recently. It's like whenever I would get sick, I would be so upset that I would have to rest. And then I would be beating myself up mentally for resting. And then I'm more exhausted because I didn't actually rest. And so now I feel like I'm coming more into a season of life. It's like when I say I'm going to rest, you actually do it, and you put on the Netflix, you go online shopping, do whatever you want to do for your rest, and you just luxuriate in it and you let those voices go because they're not helpful.
Oh my God, I feel you're speaking my soul, especially right now.
Yeah.
What's going on in my outside life? I'm like, damn, like I know every single person has texted me and they're
Yeah.
like, okay, it's time for you to rest. And I'm like, it's funny that everyone fucking keeps saying that. And then my sister goes, yeah, because you're Laura Patricia Martin and you don't even know what the fuck that word means. And I was
Yes.
like, I'm good at it. And they're like, you're fucking not.
They're like, so are you rejuvenated or are
Like,
you still
what are you
exhausted?
doing? Yeah. It's
Like
like,
which
how are you
state?
feeling? Exactly. And I'm like, I think
Mhm.
we can all relate to that. And I think that's something that a lot of people, especially I'm seeing in my community, everyone's craving this like softening, this slowing, but without
Yeah.
losing that savage edge, like without losing the
Oh,
parts of ourselves that get us to the top, quote unquote. And, really redefining after COVID, like what that survivor mentality is so that we can
yeah.
soften, we can do what is feminine, we can do what is soft, we can do what is luxurious, which is space and time. Luxurious isn't, to me, and this is what I've been seeing redefined, isn't this like giant, home and all these kind of things, although that is nice.
Yeah.
Luxury is actually space, time, freedom, fresh food, time to enjoy that fresh food, like things
Yeah.
like that you are such a specialist is. And so I do want to, before we jump in, because I know we can go on tangents,
Oh, yeah.
can you introduce yourself to my community and reintroduce
Yes.
yourself to your community?
Oh my gosh, this is so fun because I feel like I've changed a lot in this last year. So this, especially in 2023, we're only halfway through it. So I'm Marie Reginato. So I am a two-time cookbook author and cooking video host. And that's really how I got into the more of like the online space, was through recipe development. So I was around 26 years old and 25, 26, and I was really new to this whole like Instagram thing. And I had so much fun. I was becoming obsessed with healthy recipes. Like, what is chia pudding? What's bircher muesli? Like, I was fascinated. It was as if a whole new world was opening up to me. And it was like, I felt like a child again. I'm like, this is so fun. This is so playful. And I really had this vision of, I want to do cooking videos because I want to be able to express myself. I had at that point, like it's a pretty long story, but I had started a blog and everything really started to take off quickly the more time I devoted to it. You know how we were just talking about the compound effect. I attribute almost a lot of my success to that. And I ended up like really just going for it all. The publishing houses reached out, the food photography, like big ad agencies reached out. I did all the things I said I wanted to do, shot all the cooking videos I wanted to do. And then I could feel like this turning point where it's like, that's not all of it. And I came into a stage of my life for about 3 years where I started to question everything. And I didn't realize at the time that I could add to my business and that I didn't have to take away. And this was something that I felt like no one was talking about. It was like you niched down and you did one thing. But for myself, like I'm such a Gemini. I have Gemini 4 times over in my chart. Like I'm just so curious and I love learning and I love expressing myself. And so I started to dive into spirituality and really understanding at a soul level, like, why am I here? And how do I connect with my soul? Like, how is it that I feel so intuitive, but like I want to deep dive into that world? I want to understand how I can create the reality that I see for myself because I did it before. And now I'm feeling it a little lost, but how can I do it now again in a new way, more rooted, more grounded, and knowing that I can add to my life and not have to niche down and take away, and that no one's going to be mad at me for adding in. Like more of me is more of me and more of you is more of you. And isn't that beautiful? And so now what I really do is, of course, I do the food stuff, which I absolutely love, but I also focus on manifestation and how it becomes this co-creative process between you and the universe and coming back to your soul. And that shit lights me up. Oh my God. Because I just, at the end of the day, when I really took stock of my whole life, like what made me so happy was just to be expressive. And what I found what I was doing with food is that I was using it as a channel to express myself. And now I get to do that through food, but also through these beautiful programs and really shedding light and like sharing with people how capable they have always been and being someone who just reminds themselves of that through all these different embodiment practices and tools. And that's what I really am feeling so inspired and pulled to do at this state of my life. And it feels really fucking good because it's something that I needed 6 years ago that I had to really work and like put a lot of energy towards. And now it finally clicked. And it's like, okay, now let me go forward on this new path and just remember more is more is more. And you can always pivot and you can always add. So yeah, that's
Oh my,
me.
I love her so much, y'all. Like she has such a special place in my heart. And the thing that I love most, and that you touch on so many things, and I do want to expand on it where it comes to play and expression and, adding to business as opposed to taking away and, creating
Yeah.
again as opposed to burning it all to the ground or,
Mhm.
going backwards or whatever. Like there's so many parts that I loved about this, but I really want to tap into, and something that we talked about in the beginning where it's like, it gets to be play. Like it gets
Yes.
to be your expression, this whole life force, this whole thing, especially when it comes to manifestation.
Yeah.
It's about play where I see one, a lot of people get, manifestation as quote unquote woo woo, where it's
Mhm.
like, or I can't have a negative thought because otherwise it's going to come true. And it comes from the fear based set,
Yeah.
or this hyper control. Like I need to only think this way and it needs to be this way. I need to wake up. I need to look this. I need to say my affirmations. I need to do this. I need to pull my card. I need to fucking shove a yoni egg inside me. I need to things where it's like, it becomes this, it's not fun. It feels like work. It feels like
Yes.
spiritual work. And yes, when it comes to this stuff, it does take discipline. I'm not going to lie. It takes motivation. It takes these kind of things. But I felt this in my own journey where it was like, I was in such a fucking pickle, drugs, abuse, all this kind of stuff where I was like, okay, something has to save me or I'm going to die. Like I
Mhm.
felt that to my core. And I became so attached to this stuff where like, if I
Yeah.
didn't wake up and do my stuff, I instantly had a bad day. Right?
Mhm.
It's like the
Yeah.
same thing as stepping on a scale. You step on it, you're fucking 5 pounds heavier, 2 pounds heavier. You're like, I'm going to have a bad day today. Like I felt that way if I missed my meditation, if I missed my journal, if I missed my thing, if I didn't do everything in the right order, because, I saw Tony Robbins doing it this way. And therefore he's the one that the epitome of success. And so I want to
Yeah.
talk to that aspect when it comes to manifestation, when that hyper
Mhm.
masculine comes in, when that survival mode comes in, and you're like, I can't survive without this. And I'm already having a bad day because I didn't get to fucking talk to my spirit guides about XYZ. And like that part where it's like, how do you, when someone's in that stage, infuse more joy? What does
Oh
that look
my gosh. This is what a beautiful way to start off this conversation because
like?
I feel like we've all been there because it's like, especially when you're learning something new, you're just absorbing everyone else's way of doing it. And you're forgetting to like, okay, let me like stay open, stay curious, but ultimately at the end of the day, like, what really resonated? And like, was it the 20-minute meditation, or was it the fact that you just got to have a moment of stillness? Like, it doesn't need to be so controlled. And what I find, and it comes back to like, play will always be one of the most magnetic feelings in the world. And because we are so much more energy than we are physical matter, the energy that we circulate, it's so incredibly impactful. Like, think about it. Have you ever had your best aha moments when you're pissed off, frustrated? Not really. It's usually when you're out with your friends and you're like, holy shit, I just had an idea. And you're like having fun and you're bouncing it off off of them and like coming back. It's like when you're traveling, when you're out and about, when you're in nature, when the sun's shining on you and you're just feeling yourself, like coming back into your body out of the head, because the head is that control zone where it's like, oh my God, it's already 9 o'clock and you have not stretched, you haven't meditated, you didn't drink enough water. That is such an awful feeling to be living in. And talk about, again, like that contraction in the body that you feel. Like, no, not a lot of fun thoughts are going to come through. Not the aha, not the quantum leaps that everyone wants and seeks. They don't usually come through those moments. They come through when you release and you realize that life is more about living than controlling it. So, yeah.
It's
And then,
so fucking true.
and for me, like, I really had to come back to like, when I looked, cause so I really like to do this thing where I'm like, hey, look for the evidence in my life when things were really shooting off, because they weren't for a while. And then they did. Like, I went through this really intense breakup and everything felt like it was crumbling down, but I didn't want that to be the case. Like, yes, emotionally, I was really going through it, but I had this crazy desire to make something of my life and to create it myself. And so ended that relationship, left a job, and then everything started to take off. And I really go back and I look at that moment in time, and this was all about the food stuff. And I look back and I'm like, my God, I was just having fun. I didn't put a lot of pressure. I was living at my parents' house. I was making no money. I wasn't making any money with the food stuff yet. It was about to happen, but it hadn't happened yet. So all these things is like, I look back at the moments in my life where I was like, when was I having fun? Like, when did it all work? When was it all working? And that was the correlation. It was like, there was less pressure, there was more fun, and I was leading from that energy. And so whatever I put out there, people could see that it was just pure joy that I was expressing, because we can all feel it. Like, I don't care if you think that someone, like, they don't seem quote unquote intuitive. Like, we are all human beings that run off of emotions. So maybe if you're not consciously picking up on it, you are absolutely feeling it in the subconscious area. Like, when you walk down the street and someone doesn't even have to say anything and you're like, damn, like, they are confident, they're in a good mood, and they didn't even open up their mouth. And it's the opposite. Someone walks by you and they're not even saying anything, but you feel ooh, this tension, this negativity. It just kind of, we're all feeling it. So whatever you put out there, someone's going to notice what the energy that you created it is in. So how do you want to live your life? Like, do we want to create because we have to, or because we want to have fun doing it and using it as a means to unravel more of yourself and to learn more of yourself, and then to express that into the world? Because that's art too. Like, this is all art. Like, we're humans, we're artists. So yeah. I just love play. And this was something that I wasn't seeing in the manifestation space. And this is a huge thing for my personality in general. Like, I love being silly and goofy and tapping into play. And I know that it's so needed in this world because of that. Like, we get so lost in the mind and we just need a reminder of it. We need to see someone who's just like, it's a little bit more quote unquote easy for them to tap into the play. So if I can do that, if I can be an expression of that, and then someone sees that and they're reminded of their play and their joy, that it doesn't need to be so, oh my God, stressful, then that's like the greatest gift I could ever give.
And you really are like a walking embodiment of that. And I
Aw.
get this a lot too, where it's like, but I can't tap into it. I can't,
Yeah.
I'm not a playful person is something I hear from one of my dear friends where it's like me and you and me and Steph actually just talked about this in a podcast as well, where it's like, it just comes naturally. But what I feel that is when you've done enough work to dismantle that shield.
Oh,
A
yeah.
lot of people aren't looking at that part. They're like, it just isn't there. And it's like, no, you probably just had to grow up too quick because I'm sure at
Mhm.
some point you had an imagination and you were able to play. And it's not playing with like playing with Barbies or playing with this kind of toy. It's literally just playing with your life. Like, where
Yes.
can you let life surprise you? How can every day be a moment of, just your creation and your art? And like, my friends always make fun of me because they're like, you walk around like, there's this running joke in my friends where it's like I run my life like I'm in the middle of a romance movie. Like everything is pathetic, everything is part of my internal play, and I know things, and I'll like constantly come up with these scenarios and these chapters and these things, and they're like,
Yeah.
I'm exhausted with your disco brain, and I'm like, it's fun. Like, who cares? The thing that I think is
Yes.
a big block here with manifestation and play and things like this is you don't want to let yourself dream because you don't want to get disappointed. But
Mhm.
is play. Like, it's not,
Yes.
if this doesn't come true, therefore I'm fucked. And like that's the biggest feminine
Yeah.
is disappointment. So it's like, I'm not gonna go all in on this. I'm not gonna let myself be fully expressed and open to the potentiality
Oh
of
my gosh.
create these scenarios in my head. Like, why though? Like,
Exactly.
if you just know where it's like, who fucking cares if it actually works out? Isn't it fun to dream? Isn't it fun to be like, I want to be an astronaut? I have no
Yeah.
idea how. Like, I think I am. And you know what I'm gonna do to make that happen?
Mhm.
I'm gonna buy this thing called a Space Buddy one night when I'm at a rave, and I lay under it every single night. Like, this, I am in space. I am now an astronaut. Like, who the fuck is
Yes. Who
going out
cares?
there? Exactly.
I completely agree. It's like, oh my God. I really do feel like people just kind of I remember a mentor actually, she phrased it so beautifully, Shoshana, where she's like, there's a war on happy people. And I
Mhm.
loved that so much because it was like, when did it be cool to be unhappy? Because I'm sorry, I don't want to live in that reality because yes, life is challenging and there will absolutely be moments when you feel that way. So why would I ever intentionally place more unhappiness, more unfulfillment on my life when I'm sorry, but we do have way more control of our lives than we give ourselves credit for. And it's not just about our lives. Like we are dancing with the universe constantly. And the universe is so magical. And so when you don't open yourself up, you're not letting the universe do its side of the job, its side of the role to delight you, to surprise you, to show synchronicities that take your fucking breath away. And that's what makes life really good, really fun, and remind you of, okay, this life again is meant to be lived, not to be exhausted and pissed off all the time and holding back. That's what I was doing for a long time. I was holding myself back out of fear. But when I think about it and I go back to that evidence. I play this game where I'm like, hey, look for the evidence, Marie, go back. I was such a weird, wild kid. Oh my God. And I loved it. And I'm like, well, where did she go? Let me go back. Let me look at the storyline. Okay. And let me change it. Let me change the story now that I can see like I was just a fun kid. Like that playfulness has always been there. And of course, there have been moments in time where it dips in and out, but it will always be there. When we come out of the womb, do we come out all stressed and irritated and pissed off and like all like, oh my God, I got to make $100,000. I'm 1 day old now. It's like, no, you're a kid. You're beautiful. You're pure. You're amazing. That's us at our natural state. And anything else, it's like you got to start stripping the layers back and seeing that that's not as important as you're making it out to be. And you got to start opening yourself up to the universe because it really, really wants to be in your life and to show you how beautiful it can be. Because a lot of the time, like if we don't have something else that we can really tap into, and I know you're very spiritual and you speak more to the lens of God, which I love, but I find that I was really pushing that terminology away for a lot of my life. I'm just someone who questions everything. Like I question it all. And I would question like this whole God thing and all these things. And when I was doing that, I felt like there wasn't that much purpose in a sense. Like I almost felt like I was floating more so. But when I could really connect to know there's these greater forces out there that are really there to help us, to show us that there's another way to do it. It gets you out of your head, back into your body, and back into the awe of life, to the sunshine, to the birds, like that. That is what's important.
I love it, honestly. And it really does change everything. And I want to ground it. I want to ground it a bit. So when it comes to manifestation and, the play and the joy and the things, for those people, for my ambitious high achievers that I know and love, that was this podcast, what are some tangible things that they can start doing to help them strip back? It's okay. They haven't done the trauma work. They're not in their feminine, da, 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 da. A lot of my audience, really drives on with the masculine. So they're very heady human beings. So people that are
Yeah.
working on, I want to manifest the love of my life. I want to
Yes.
manifest, the dream career or the dream home or whatever that is. What are some tangible
Mm.
steps that they can start taking right now?
Okay, one of my favorite things that I do too, because we can definitely, this is my favorite thing about manifestation is that it's not all so spiritual and woo woo. And I know you speak to this too, where it's like, it really is understanding how the mind works because we can use the mind to our benefit. It's not this bad thing. Like it's attached to our body for a reason. Like we get to be the driver of it instead of our mind and our thoughts hijacking ourselves and our days. And so like we get to use our mind. So in that instance, I would say to that person, it's like, come back to your brain and think about for a minute, when do you feel most fulfilled? When do you actually feel that spark in life? Like these are simple things that we are really making convoluted and confusing when really it's like, come back to the simplicity of when do you feel lit up? And maybe it hasn't been for a long time, but there have been moments. Look back, think. Use your brain to think on those times in your life where you felt really fucking good. Because there's not one person in this earth who has had a bad moment perpetually for the rest, for all of time. That just does not exist. There are beautiful moments and life is challenging, but I really want you to go back and think, maybe it's when you're swimming in the ocean. Maybe it's when you're traveling. Maybe it's when you get to just sit on the ground and cry and feel that like release. But there are moments and you really need to start tending to them and coming back to them because no one's going to just give them to you. No one's just going to be like, oh, Marie, like take my car and go drive to the ocean. Like no one's a mind reader. You have to do this for yourself. You have to take the time. I know we are all so busy, but what I feel like the reason why manifestation doesn't hit the mark for people is because they're really forgetting that you need to understand yourself. You need to see like what's real and true for you. How do you feel about your self-worth? Because to me, that's really what it comes down to. And the more you can spend time with yourself, the more you can understand yourself, what fills you up, what ignites that curiosity, that turned on feeling, go run towards it. No one will give it to you. So it's up to you to actually make those moments happen. And maybe it's not like maybe there's no beach around you, but you find like a YMCA and you pay $5 to use the pool, whatever it is. Like you make it happen and you stop negotiating in your mind saying like, oh, but I can't today. Oh, I look too fat. I can't be in a bikini, although swimming really makes me happy. So which one, like, are you going to outweigh? Like, are you going to let your mind hijack you? Or are you actually going to take the steps to make the things that light you up a reality? Because that to me is like one of the fastest and most supportive for longevity of your life ways of manifesting and feeling really good. And it's so simple. And we don't give ourselves enough time to actually sit with ourselves to really figure out what makes us happy and what lights us up. And for those like high ambitious women, I mean, I'm one of them too. And the first thing I'm going to say is you have to find that time because I know you're not giving it to yourself. So you got to do that first.
I mean, you're the artist of it. Like one, if this is important to you and having whatever it is in your mind that you want, like whatever your manifestation is, you have to make time for that. And that only comes from spending time and taking radical ownership over where you're at
Yeah.
and just opening yourself up to that type of stuff. And I love what you talk about, and you're really emphasizing this, and I fucking love it. It's sourcing evidence. Like that's the
Mhm.
thing. It's like, where are you sourcing evidence from? And are you letting the narrative of your past? And this is the entrepreneur mind. This is the high achiever mind. We get so fucking lost in not being there yet. So even when you have what you
Yeah.
want, you're not even happy about it because you're already on to the next thing. And you forgot that
Oh,
this
yeah.
day, this day right now is something you fucking prayed for. Doing
Yes.
podcasts, I prayed for this when for a year and a half ago. I would sit and I would cry, and I was going to run it with my ex and doing these things that I always want to do in public speaking and starting. And so now it's in these moments where I'm like, this is my life. Like
Yes.
a year ago, this is what I wanted. And to have amazing community and support and the things and women like you in my circle, like it's all of it. And it's like, is there more? Of course, that's the feminine deliciousness. There's always fucking more. That's the fucking achiever's mind. There's always more. But right in this moment, what are you sourcing? What are you looking at and going, damn,
Yeah.
a year ago, I wanted this. 5 years
Mhm.
ago, I couldn't even imagine this. 10 years ago, God bless her cotton socks. She
Oh
wouldn't
my
even believe me
gosh.
if I told her. Like, it's
Right?
just seeing evidence from your life so you can get there. And so I want to go to the point of, when you're always seeking evidence and it
Mhm.
hasn't come yet, like when you're manifesting something, and this was the biggest cock block of my life for a good solid 2 years. It's like the patience in it. And it's
Yeah.
funny because when you get what, like, there are things that I manifested years ago that are now coming. If I didn't have the patience in them, I'm like, oh shit. Like my friends will screenshot things from years ago. Like, remember when you wanted this in a partner, and look at who you're dating now, and these
Yeah.
kind of things, and like these pleasant reminders where it's like that was 6 fucking years ago.
Mhm.
How do
Yes.
you in those moments hold the power?
Oh man, that's really there's like a few things that I like to do. And they're not even do, it's like reminding myself daily. Because again, like we can use the brain to our benefit. Like if you've been having this is like a whole other tangent we can go on about like how neuroscience works, but you can use the brain in either direction. So usually it's like the brain is reminding you of like, oh my God, it's just a thought loop. It's taking too long. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. And like this just becomes a groove in your brain that it's just a fun little path that you keep walking down because it's familiar. You keep doing it. But there are ways, when you talk about the manifestation process of like retraining, rewiring those pathways to remind yourself. So I'm constantly carving out new grooves of redirecting from that thought, which comes all the time. Are you kidding me? We're human. But I immediately redirect it to something way more supportive. And what I like to remind myself of first off, before anything else, is that I'm on my own timeline. I'm not ever going to know exactly when the moment is going to happen, but I have to trust. And this is like a thing that I'm always saying. I have to trust that whatever is meant for me is going to happen at the right, most perfect time that it's going to happen. So Marie, you really need to start releasing the control. You have to source this faith. And that's why I'm saying, like, when I didn't have faith in God or the universe or anything, I felt like I was floating and it felt like time was just kind of elusive and weird and it wasn't really making sense. But it's like when you can connect to something greater than yourself, then you can and yourself, you can trust that whatever action steps you do take, that's why when we talk about manifestation, it comes so much back to your self-belief, your worthiness within, like how much do you trust yourself? Because if you have that trust, if you really move from that place, you won't get down on yourself for the timeline. You just keep chipping away. You keep chipping away, but that really needs to come from a place of this deep rooted faith from within. Like start to move from that, start to do things that to like regain that confidence, that trust. Like maybe you broke it. Maybe you were telling yourself that you're going to do something and then you just never did. So you broke down this confidence within. You have to start doing things, making small promises to yourself, keeping them. So you build up your confidence, build up your faith. And when you start to do that, you start to see like, okay, I have desires. I'm so open to the timeline that's best for me, but I'm going to keep doing it until it happens. You don't give up, but maybe it shifts because maybe you're a year older now and your desires are different. So you allow yourself to pivot, which I feel like a lot of people don't give themselves. You have to learn to pivot in life. Life is one big pivot.
Drops mic, walks away. Love that. I mean, it's true. I mean, that's the act of surrender. It's knowing when to let go, and the phrase when to let go and when to let God. It's like, yes, you put
Yeah.
in these positions, like luck doesn't happen. Manifestations don't just happen. Like I can think of someone specifically where it's like, I'm just going to sit and think and make it so, and I'm going to call in the love of my life, but I never leave my fucking house. Okay, good luck with that.
Yeah.
I don't know how the
We're
fuck that's going to work out. Like you also have
mhm.
to put yourself in these positions where it's like, I want to make this happen, and I'm expanding myself to get in the right rooms to make this happen. And therefore you also start sourcing that belief, because it's like, if you're sitting on the couch watching Netflix and you want to run a 6-figure business,
Yeah.
okay, not saying
The
you can't do
actions
that.
aren't
I'm not saying
aligning.
that at all, but your actions aren't aligning with it. So therefore you're sitting there and being like, I guess it's just not good for me. And then we start to build and we get those self-deprecating thoughts, and we don't actually build that self-worth and that self-value and that.
Yeah.
But the more you start to show up for yourself and start going, my word is law. I keep my commitments to myself.
Yes.
I want this, right? Like for me, I keep saying I'm calling it my fucking Viking. So it's like, what am I doing right now? Okay, in order to do
Mhm.
that right now, it needs to be my incubation station, so that when I move to where I'm going to move to, I am fully ready. I am fully open. I'm not just masking. I'm not just, spent this time swiping, and not, I really have built up this persona of, I'm going to be the best fucking partner. Like that, it's not
Yeah.
even I'm going to be chosen. I'm going to be the best partner. I'm the best for the job, right? Like I am.
Yes.
I'm in it. I'm the best for the job. Obviously, they're going to be obsessed with me. Like,
Mhm.
am I like, if it doesnn't work, am I going to be, gutted and all these? No, like it's life. Like this is the journey of the movie. This is part of the movie. Like, how does that plot
Yes.
line go? Like, where are we going? How does this go? Da 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 da. Like, what are you doing in these moments of, yes, this is what I want. I want to build this business. I want to
Mhm.
have the most extraordinary body. I want to feel confident. I want to have my wardrobe look like this. Like, what the fuck is your thing that you're trying to manifest? And are you actually doing something to make that happen? Because
Yeah.
that's where your patience and your self-worth comes. That is something like, I just, as you were speaking, like really came to me, where it's like, yes, manifestation is this thing, but you also have to be active in it. And that's how the
Yes.
patience comes, because it's like, do I know I'm going to have a 7-figure business? Of course. Do I have a 7-figure business right now? No. Am I mad that I don't have a 7-figure business before 30 like I thought I was? Not really. Like it's like okay, so let's extend our timeline. Like it's not that it's not,
Yeah.
and it's just, it's no longer like this like need, because a lot of us also do our manifestations around this aspect of, I'm going to manifest this, so therefore I feel worthy. If I don't get the love of my life by September, then I'm not
Oh,
doing
yeah.
this. I don't become a millionaire by 30, I'm not doing this right. It's like, again, going back to the aspect of fucking play. Like this is just play, and it
This
doesn't mean,
is fun.
yeah, exactly. Like it doesn't mean you're
Mhm.
defiant or like you're not worthy of it. It's like, do you believe that you are worthy? If you know
Yeah.
that you're rare and valuable and worthy of everything that you desire, because God put it on your heart, which therefore means it's meant for you. But he has a timeline greater than you will ever understand. And every lesson
Yes.
that you're in right now is so that you can learn it. Can you hold your power? Like,
And
can
that's
you hold it?
but the thing that I love so much, like, okay, so the way I talk and teach about manifestation, it really, to me, it comes back to it being this self-belief, self-development, self-exploration process. It's not like a 1, 2, 3, check the list, you're done, you manifest, bing, it's here. If that were true, we would all have exactly what we want right now. But we are on earth, we are living life, which is an experiment of itself. Your life is a beautiful exploration and experiment. So you have to start having fun with it, because that's how it is. And with manifestation, to me, it truly is a self-belief practice. The more that you believe in yourself, the more you trust yourself, the more you become a person who shows up in your life as such. You become the kind of person who doesn't let fear get in your way. You pivot, you think of a new strategy. Like, yes, you feel those emotions that we all feel, but we don't allow ourselves to wallow in them for the rest of our lives. We pull ourselves up because we believe, we trust. And so manifestation really is an act of you believing in yourself, and not to become that version in every single day. And yeah, like you can take your time with it. You can go through ups and downs, but know that when you show up every single day, you are in the active pursuit of allowing that manifestation to come through, because you are creating it. And remind yourself too, like you are on planet Earth, which is an action planet, and action here on Earth gets rewarded. So dream it all up, really believe in it, and start to take action on it, and always hold the faith. To me, it's like when you do that, you learn so much about yourself. And isn't that it? Like you manifest from how worthy you believe yourself to be.
Mm,
And we make it so complicated when it really just comes down to that.
it's so powerful. I love it. And so as we're coming up towards the end, I think my audience would slap me in the face if they could do the screen if I didn't ask, how do we manifest the love of our life? Like what do you think? Like if they're
Ah,
already in relationship and they want to revamp their love, or
ooh,
they are dating and they want to manifest their partner, what are some ways these
yeah.
chicken tenders can start? Sorry, I
Yes.
called you guys chicken tenders. I don't know, it just felt right. For calling in this extraordinary type of love.
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, do you love yourself? Do you love yourself? I mean, I am there with you for all the single women out there. I am single too. And I've gone through like a really intense breakup that left me pretty much shattered. We were together 11 years. It was a long time. And I remember I saw, what was it, like a palm reader. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. She was a palm reader. This was a long time ago. And this is when I was in the relationship. And she goes, okay, you're going to have one divorce in your life. No, she said, you'll be married 2 times. She didn't say divorce. She said, you'll be married 2 times. And then to me, I was like, when that relationship ended, I'm like, I'm counting that motherfucking relationship as the divorce. Okay. Because I was 11 years of my life. And it was a long time. And I really had to, over the last like 6 years, like really come to this place of finding myself, understanding myself, and finally loving myself. And it comes back again, like we were talking about earlier in this conversation. Like, do you give yourself enough time to be with yourself, to understand who you are, what you like? Because you are the only person that will be by your side for your entire life. So you better start loving yourself. You better start having fun with yourself. You better want to start tapping into your own play and like really experiencing the magic that you are, because you're with yourself all the time. Like you're your best entertainer, and allow yourself to be. Like, I laugh at my own jokes all the fucking time. I don't care if no one else thinks they're not funny. I think they're funny. And for every single person on earth, we are living in our own version of reality. And my reality is that I'm really funny, and that makes me feel good. And that makes me love myself more. Like these things that I do. So it's like, do you love yourself? And if you're feeling like, I don't know, you got to, again, like really take that action and take it upon yourself to really create space and time to absorb yourself in new experiences, so more layers of yourself are revealed. So you will be able to experience more of yourself. Like even just going out for dinner, like how does it feel when you take yourself out on a solo date and you're just sitting there reading and you put your phone down? Like, how do you feel in that moment? Does it make you a little nervous? Do you get excited? Are you just like flirting? Like, oh, maybe you put the book down and you're like, I flirting with someone else. Like that's new. Like, see, like, let's see these new layers come about through new experiences. And I'd say again, what's the most magnetic thing in this world is play. It's being happy. So can you, when you are like going out on a date, reminding yourself too, it's like, ooh, like check in, like, I'm excited for this. Like going back to that, like I'm excited because whatever happens, more of myself is going to be revealed throughout this process of going out on a date, of going out on a solo date, of whatever it is. Like just know that with every experience of life, it's an exploration of you first. And I
Mm.
love that. So this whole life is for you. It's for you to be creative in it. Like you are your own piece of art. So you got to have fun with it. What else is the point of life? Come on now.
I love you so much. That was so good. And I know I'm tickled pink by that. My heart's like, yes, baby. It is
Yes.
such a delight. Your energy is so contagious. What are some final words you want to leave my audience with? And then you can share with us where to connect with you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this has been so fun. I would say, because I know there's a lot of high achieving women, men, whoever, just people that are very ambitious. And I know with that comes a quote unquote like shortage of time. So the best thing I can say right now is whip out that schedule that I know you have right by you, because you are one of those people. You got your schedule, you got your calendar, put it in literally right now, right this second. Like, okay, I'm clearing up this Saturday and I'm taking myself out on a date. Do whatever you can to get to know yourself more, and do this for the rest of your life. Don't just do it until you get into that relationship, but to continue it during the relationship. That's going to be so vital, because you are always going to be changing. Remember, your life is a beautiful manifestation. Manifestation is all about self-exploration. This will stay with you for the rest of your life, no matter what it is that you are manifesting. It comes from you first, you knowing yourself better, and you will always be changing. So allow yourself to be in new experiences so that more of yourself will always be revealed every single day, every single year. It doesn't matter if you're in partnership or not. Like, gift yourself that beautiful experience of getting to know yourself deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And as you do that, just stay open and stay open and stay open. Let life meet you halfway. Let the universe help and delight you in so many surprises.
You're such a freaking gift. I love you
I
so
love
much.
you.
Thank you.
This
Your
is
energy,
so
your
fun.
heart, just all that you are. Like, it really is such a gift to know you, and to know you is to love you. And it is just, I'm
Aw,
obsessed. And so
I love
thank you for
you.
all that you do. And I'm excited to bring this to my community. Where can they connect with you and stay
Yes.
in your?
Oh my gosh. Please come find me on Instagram. So it's just my name, Marie. I can't remember. I can never remember. I think it's just a dot and then Reginato, but Marie Reginato. And yes, I have the only place that we do like manifestation big time for right now is the manifestation playground. You know, I had to put the word play in there. And that's a beautiful 7-week experience that we do about twice a year. And I do have something coming up that Laura is most likely going to be a part of. And that's going to come very, very soon. And it's an extension of manifestation and really a journey of self-exploration, but on your own terms. So I'm really excited. So just come find me on Instagram to, be in my world to see when that comes about. It's most likely is going to be August, September time. So it's coming up and I'm excited.
Oh my goodness. I love it. Be sure to put everything in the show notes. Make sure
Yeah.
that the handle is correct for anyone.
Oh my gosh. I also forgot I have a podcast, duh, and
Oh
Laura's
yeah.
going to be on it. So the podcast is called Weird, Wild, and Woo. And that's really just, I'm titled it that because I really went through a phase of like, I wanted to find myself again. I wanted to tap into that weird, that wildness, that like, woo, that spiritual side, that fun, that play. And that's a podcast all about it. And Laura's going to come in right after this. We're recording right now. Dating, baby. We're going to talk all about that.
Things, and I'll put all of that in there. But I love you.
Yay.
Thank you
Thank
so
you. I
much.
love you. Thanks.
All right, babies, take those sexy thumbs. I love you. I love you so much for being here. Take those sexy thumbs and go write a review if this landed for you. It helps us get more guests like the lovely Marie
Love
on
it.
here. Plus, it's just fun to hear from you guys and all that kind of stuff. Let us know how you liked it. Tag us, all the things, like, subscribe, review, all the things. You guys get it. So cute. And I love you. Bye.
Oh my God, you're so